Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to pick back up on some Leetcode problems. So here I am just at the Leetcode website, and then we'll go look at some problems. This is how your website should look. So if you keep doing problems continually, you'll see little red dots where you did a certain problem. So I'll go look through, and since we're just getting started, let's pick the first problem, which is a two-sum problem. So the first thing to do when you open up this Leetcode problem is to read the problem. I know it sounds intuitive, but a lot of times you want to just code, but instead we just need to read the problem first. So the problem says, given an array of integers called nums and an integer called target, return the indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target value. So if we look down here at these examples, we can see that the 2 and the 7 will add up to 9, and those are at the 0 and the 1 index. Again, this is explained in the explanation. You can look at the other things. One thing to note is that if we look at this array, we want the values 2 and 4 to add up to 6 because we don't want to count the same index twice. So we have to be weary in our algorithm not to look at 3 twice because 3 plus 3 is 6. So let's go over here. We'll choose Python 3 as our solution. Let me go ahead and reload this browser to see if we... Okay. So we could choose a different programming language if we wanted. We could choose C++ or, which I've already solved, you can see the solution here, or we can choose Python. Now I'm not sure. Let's just reset. Okay. So here we go. We have the problem statement, which is taking in two things, the nums list and the target, which is the sum value, and you're going to return a list of integers. So the first thing I always do is a default return statement. So in this case, if we don't find two values, we want to return the empty list. Now let's think about how we can go through this problem. So the first way to go through it would be some brute force solution where we look at every possible combination of numbers and then return the target sum. To do this, we know that this, because it will need two for loops, we'll go ahead and say that this will be a brute force solution with a complexity of big O of n squared. Again, that's just because we're looking through the list twice. So we'll start out with some variable n, which is going to be the length of the list of numbers. This will allow us to iterate to the end of the list. So a for loop in Python looks like for I n, and because we want to iterate over the values, the index of the list, we're going to use range instead of just saying, you could say for I in nums, and that would give you the values at I, but we want the actual index. So we'll say for I in range, and we want this first for loop to go to n minus 1 elements. Let's say, just for kicks, that we want to go to just n elements. So we'll put a colon there at the end because that denotes that we're actually entering into the for loop. So again, because this is the brute force solution with two for loops, we'll go ahead and say for j in range, let's just say n again. So now we're looking at all values in the list once, and then we're looking at them again. And this is going to cause us problems because we don't want to look at the same value at the same index twice. But just for starters, we'll look at it this way. And so we'll say if the value of nums at I plus the value of nums at j is equivalent to the target value, i.e. we found the 2 and we found the 7 and it adds up to the 9, then you can go ahead and, some C++ syntax there for you that we don't use in Python. You can go ahead and return. This is one of the nice things about Python is you can just return I comma j, and that'll give you the type of list of integers that the program is expecting. So otherwise, this will keep looping through. So let's go ahead and run it and see if we run into any issues. Okay, so we did pass the first test case where we want to look at the 2 and the 7 to get a 9. But the second case, again, we're having problems with the 3 because it says 0 and 0. And in the third case, again, problems with the 3 because we're saying 0 and 0. So let's make this first loop not go up to the end. And instead, let's start this j loop at I plus 1. So this will give us the next value, not the I value that we're starting at. So let's go ahead and run this code, see what we get. Okay, we passed all 3 test cases. Let's go ahead and submit the solution to look at all possible test cases that Leetcode has for us. Takes a little while to run. Okay, we see that the runtime beats 21% of users with Python 3. But again, there is a better approach to this. So check back in again and we'll talk about a hash table approach.